G'day guys, welcome back to Beers and Break-Evens, brought to you by Blue Wealth Property, the very best in the business. They've got a couple of showcases coming up over the next couple of weeks. They were over at over the north side the other day on the northern beaches. Then on the 19th of July, Wealth Through Property. That one's coming to you from Baulkham Hills, 6:30 p.m. We'll have the link in the description, or you can reach out to myself, Timmy. Please annoy Timmy while he's away on his holiday. I would thoroughly enjoy that. Or reach out to Blue Wealth Property. And then we've got Wealth Through Property at Sydney Olympic Park. That's at 6:30 p.m. on the 25th of July. And then the 26th of July, Wealth Through Property once again in the Great Adelaide. First one in Adelaide for a little while, I believe. But Blue Wealth Property, they make investing in property easy for you. Reach out via the link in the description, or reach out to myself or Timmy. Bringing in, it's great. Last week I had a genuine 5'8" on. This week I think I might have a genuine halfback on. Ryan, welcome.
G'day. Great to be here, mate.
How good?
Thanks for the call up. Origin Week. I think this is the third time that I've been here on an Origin Week, so representative footy. How good?
He actually he went and got his leg tattooed up this week like Bradman Best.
Yeah.
Coming in to make a splash.
Well, here I am. I've got the pants on, so you can't see it. But hopefully, yeah, good luck to Bradman tonight. I was saying to you before, it just doesn't feel like an Origin day today, which is a shame as a New South Welshman. But he's hoping the boys can get the win tonight anyway.
Fingers crossed. I obviously sold those burgundy hats the other day, and each and every one of you dickheads told me they were maroon hats. So I played a bit of eyes up, went out and got myself a singular blue hat for today. So hopefully we can even up the juju. Springing in one of the most passionate Blues fans of all time from Sydney's East, Matty Buxton. Welcome in, mate.
Guru, Riser, what's going on? You're right. It unfortunately doesn't feel like an Origin today because it's a dead rubber, the first dead rubber against us since 2016. But I guess one good thing for me personally is, and I guess for Blues fans as well, we get to look at a couple of new people. For me personally, I can't wait to see Cody Walker again. I'm even more excited to see Colin Matangi. Pumped for Cam that he's 13. But I'm with you. So I'm really... I was as shocked as anyone when Bradman got picked, but I'm pumped to see what Bradman can do tonight.
I've got a feeling that tonight might be a little turning point for Cam Murray.
I think so too. I think, no disrespect to Teddy, if he doesn't play next year, there's every chance this would be Cam Murray's last game, not as the Blues captain.
I think he's a really good shot to be the skipper next year.
I think funny you mentioned Teddy there, and funny you mentioned that Game 3 2016, because I think that was the day that Teddy debuted.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
so there's a bit of synergy there about that. I think as well, like, credit to Teddy. I think he breaks Danny Badiris' record tonight of most consecutive Origins.
For New South Wales, yeah.
New South Wales. So there's a bit happening tonight. To be remiss of us not to at least give Teddy a shout out. It hasn't been his best series, but he's been a great player for New South Wales.
Straight up, and people do push back on me on this, I reckon he's the best New South Wales player since Andrew Johns, and I think it isn't even close.
Yeah, wow.
And I reckon there's an argument like that he's in the top 3 New South Wales players of all time. The consistency can't be questioned. Take away this series, he has been a 9 out of 10 every Origin game. I reckon the three of the 5 best games of his whole career have been in a Blues jersey. So you can't take away anything Tedesco's done for the state.
It's funny how people would be sitting at home laughing at you for that, but if you would have said that a year ago, no one says shit.
Exactly right. Yeah.
No one says shit, so good shout. Now, I've got to mention it. Maddie's nickname for you, Riser. It's I don't know if Tim told you last time you were in.
Here we go.
But it's my absolute favourite. And he didn't actually deliver it with the same gusto he normally does, but whenever he says your name, he goes, Riser. And me and Timmy always think it's like when the Ninja Turtles talk about Splinter, how he's just going to drop in from the ceiling somewhere. So it's a little running joke of me and Timmy, especially after a few beers, that we just stare in each other's eyes and say,
That's fine.
Riser.
Call me whatever you want.
Best.
It's yeah, Bucko and I, we've had some stories over time. I think we've shared one on this podcast a few weeks back. We won't get there again, but look, just happy to be here. Good vibes on a Wednesday morning.
He hates a beer, doesn't he?
Oh, shocker for one.
Don't you two talk.
Surprised he's even here, actually. This is a bit of a G-up as well. He had a personal training session this morning. I've known Bucko for 5-6 years, and that's the first I've heard of a personal trainer being involved.
Well, his personal trainer started at the Newmarket Hotel at 7 p.m. last night, so he's done well to be here. Now, mate, obviously, you're in the SuperCoach sphere yourself.
Yes.
SuperCoach 365, absolutely flying. Tell us about it.
Been there for a couple of years now. I think this is our 3rd year doing the podcast across the socials as well. You'll find us SuperCoach 365. Look, this year probably coincidentally one of my better years, which I'm happy to turn up when it's a good week. Last week was a good week, as seen by this little trophy here.
Yeah, I wasn't stoked about that, I'll be honest with you. It's nice to have you, but I wasn't stoked.
On debut and a bit of silverware first up. Not too shabby. No, look, that's where you'll find us. We do the Tuesday night podcast and pop up on a couple of others where we can.
Mate, I actually I love the designs of all your posts. I think you've probably got the most consistent approach. It's something that I really struggle with. It's something that always stands out with yours.
It's probably the good and the bad at the same time. Like that attention to detail is just like sometimes there's things that happen and you're on the fly and you don't have time to sit down. As a content producer, but
it can consume you sometimes.
Yeah, and just the level, like the time, the detail. But we do our best work probably on Instagram. So if you aren't following us there, you can find us at SuperCoach365.
Yeah, make sure you go follow on all your social medias and everything, and also on Threads.
Mate, yes, I don't know what I'm doing on Threads.
No one does. It's great.
At the same time, it's sort of like I really love Twitter. So as much as it's like I want to get involved, it's just one more app I have to open now. So yeah, you can find us there as well. We haven't done a whole heap there at the moment, but
I was never huge on Twitter. I'd get on, say what I want to say, screenshot it, then get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
I'm sort of enjoying Threads a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, Matty, you're the social media wizard down there. What are your thoughts on Threads?
Yeah, I haven't dived into it as much as I probably should have at this point. I've opened the account for my personal one. I saw Denon did it for Bloke, but I don't think there's a post on either one for now. I'm with you, Rise. I love Twitter. I don't tweet very often.
Yeah.
But I am like, on a Monday show, I'll be like, I reckon 95% of the time on Monday show, I'll be scrolling Twitter just to see in case something happens. Like it's great to be like first on the news and yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how it can differentiate itself from Twitter, but we'll find out.
Yeah, interesting times. I think we're all still trying to work it out as we go. Now, mate, what was your score rank? How are you going off the back of last week?
Last week, 1086, so pretty handy score. I was happy with that. And like Maddie says, we check Twitter on a Monday morning. Generally, I sort of check in, a bit of accountability once lockout's open. I felt like a bit of a dick putting that score up. Not in.
I wasn't going to say it to you,
but in saying that, like it's one of those weeks that sort of everything just went right.
Yeah.
I think I brought in Munro off some good advice that he could have been anything last week. Blake Wilson I'd had from round 13. He suddenly gets a reprieve and scores 114. So just things like that fall into place that you can't plan for that happening. So that took me to season rank of 958. So inside the top 1,000 now. So look, happy with that.
How many trades you got left?
Only 8. So that's the sticking point. No boost left as well. I sort of used last week, the 3 trade week, as an extra boost of sorts to cash out some of those players that I wasn't going to be playing with for the run home.
Yep.
Brought in those cheaper guys, like I said. So I've got a stack of cash there, 500k in the bank, ready for a Nathan Cleary perhaps this week, if we can make that work.
Yeah, we'll talk about him very, very soon because he's going to be huge this week. Now, as far as the Beers and Break Evens group goes, we have got our winner this week was Jade and the Sundogs, 1,278.
How does it happen?
How
does that happen? I often look at these teams and you think that's got to be a sniper team. But then you go through and you see them, they're ranked about 5,000.
Yep, he's ranked 5,000.
Yeah. So awesome. Credit to you for making that work. And I think they're also the KSE subscriber as well. So they pocket 2K for that week.
Lovely. How good. I remember last year I had a week where I was the 26th highest scorer. And I remember going into that Monday morning going, oh my God,
a chance.
This could be it. I was about 80 short.
Yeah.
It wasn't even fucking close. There was only 25 ahead of me out of 150,000. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it happens. It happens though. I think we've all had probably 1 or 2 weeks like that. But what about yourself last week?
I did okay last week. I've had Timmy Williams in the distance and I've just been roping him in week by week. Little Scotty Sattler over here running down Todd Byrne. I scored 1,021.
Nice.
I only had 11 or 12, so I was pretty happy with that. I actually I made the decision at the start of the week, I'm going to go Blake Wilson. Then I went Quai Ward, so I gave away 50 points.
Yeah.
But he's looking like he could be the nuff that maybe I was looking for.
That's the thing. You're balancing that act between someone for round 19 and not beyond. Now, Wilson looks like he's going to stick around, so that could actually work out against those who brought him in last week if he holds the spot but doesn't score well.
Yeah, Exactly. It's an interesting one. So I scored 1,021. My rank now 4,390. The great Timmy Williams, Phoenix Crossland, 945. What an idiot. 4,026 rank. So there's 29 points separating me and Tim. For those playing at home, it was about 1,029 3 weeks ago. So we're making ground. And Bobby Boucher, what's doing with you down there?
I actually beat Timmy this week. I got 999. So I'm at that perfect sweet spot where I'm not quite as good as you two this week, but I'm as good as the guy that can't defend himself. So
love that.
Yeah.
That's exactly where you want to be, the sweet spot.
Exactly right.
Zone.
Exactly right.
I'm all for that. I put the trophy on my side of the table and then just was trying to be polite and ask Ryan how he went, and that was a very disappointing answer I received. Now, you might notice that we have the Great Stallion, which is going out to one of you this week. And speaking of guys that can't defend themselves, in Tim, we've got one that can defend himself, and he's a bit of a prick. He's now broken our trophy, by my calculations, 3 times this year. And I don't know how you're going to defend yourself on this one, mate, but over to you.
You have no proof that I broke that trophy any of those times. I don't know what you're talking about. It could have been anyone. It could have been anyone in this studio.
You look like Luna Park. You're so full of shit, it's not even funny. You broke my trophy 3 times. You broke someone's trophy out there. I'm looking at the overall leaders right now, and the bloke that is leading our comp, his name is... Good time for the internet to shit itself. We love that. Whatever his name is, he's coming 2nd overall. And James, he's the coach of Raging Pole. Nice. Shout out to James. He's coming 2nd overall. So if he manages to win this, I will be sending the stallion out to you in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bits.
It could be in 7 pieces by the time the year's over.
It could be. I don't know what Matty's got planned.
Also, I think your brother commented on my Instagram the other day, you broke Guru's trophy.
Yes, he would have.
Yeah. It was a photo of a dog as well. Had no context whatsoever.
Love that. Nice,
Which, and he's wrong. I didn't do anything.
You're full of shit. You're so full of shit. All right, let's get into some serious Supercoach now the pleasantries are out of the way. Team list Tuesday. By the way, the winner of the weekly prize, send an email, beersandbreakevens@gmail.com. You need to chase me up because I won't be chasing you up. I'm too busy chasing Tim. All right, Knights v Tigers, Friday, 7:50 p.m, coming here from Newcastle. For the Newcastle Knights, Bradman Best and Fifita have been named. Give you the hot tip, Riser. I picked up one Tuwala in my draft comp this morning because I don't know if Bradman Best, being the only Newcastle Knight to play every single minute this year, he's going to play Origin Wednesday, play Friday against the West Tigers.
Eyes up rugby league, if ever there was. Eyes up super coaching. It's funny you mentioned that Best has played every minute. I didn't know that, but I swear he was someone last year who couldn't string together 2 games.
He's been someone for the last decade who couldn't string together 2.
So credit to him, credit to the physio staff up there in Newcastle to get the thoroughbred that is on the field. He's anyway, playing good footy.
And we'll talk about it soon when we get to the Penrith Panthers, but Phoenix Crossland at hooker again. Survives.
You said it yourself, the cockroach. I didn't want to take your thunder, but he has been someone who I have traded out, and then they've somehow found my way back into my team. I think, without exaggeration, probably 4 or 5 times this year.
Yeah. There's been weeks where he's been my worst trade, a cash cow, and a captain option in the same week, depending on the day. It's been unbelievable.
What is he this week against the Tigers?
He's a reserve.
Right. So you're playing him?
Yeah, I'm playing him.
Okay.
I think when the Newcastle Knights get on the front foot, I think Phoenix gets a little bit of Cam Smith about him and gets a little bit excited.
Take yourself back to that Sunday afternoon against the Bulldogs a fortnight ago now. What price were you getting same game multi, Crossland double, I think it was Kurt Mann double. What are you getting pre-kickoff?
Long.
We wouldn't be here today, I'll tell you that.
No way.
Anyway.
Yeah, I love Phoenix. He's grown on me very, very quickly. He's my favourite guy that looks like that anyway. West Tigers, Api Kurosawa returns this week. Great to see and much needed for the Tigs. Only the one game on Friday. Then Saturday, we kick off with the Bulldogs taking on the Brisbane Broncos. Saturday, 3 p.m. from Belmore. How bloody good. Belmore Oval.
Yeah, I think they're looking at 17,000. So the game, there's New South Wales Cup beforehand, so that'll double as Reynolds' last game in Bulldogs colours.
I noticed as well Beyonde Odo returning in that game. I'm not sure if he's played the last few weeks. I haven't noticed his name if so. But
I think he's been thereabouts. He's come back from an ACL, so I don't know if he's hit the ground running, but he was someone that they earmarked as a sort of a utility 6'9", so
100%.
he could fill that Reynolds mould.
Shout out to Joshy Reynolds. Me and Matty spoke about him the other day as just being probably our favourite grub. hence the nickname. So shout out to him, a fantastic career, and one last Josh Reynolds act just to show you the sort of bloke he is to hand over his top 30 spot.
Yeah.
For the Sex Pistol to come in and he's flying. For the doggies, Quai Ward out in reserve grade, Kiraz at centre, Josh Adokar back in, Wilson holds on. I feel like this Canterbury centres and wingers, it's like throwing 4 dice together and see where they land. They could run out as anything this weekend.
Well, that's the question that I've got. Like, Wilson holds the spot. We saw him score a hat-trick last week on the left side. That's Adokar's side. So is he as effective on the right side? Probably not, with Burton that predominantly left half. Kiraz in the centres, that's an interesting point. We saw how good he was coming out of his own end to start the year, that base that everyone was sort of after from that centre wing. Does he still have that in the centres?
I would definitely be going, I'd be keeping Fox on the left, without a doubt. Wilson on the right. Centres, you could go either way. Braden Burns is a fucking good footballer. He just needs to stay fit, or Kiraz. Yeah. But if Kiraz is at left centre, I don't know if I could buy him myself, but geez, I could see some points. I think it's his better rugby league position.
Right.
Centre. But Supercoach, I don't know.
I remember a game, I think it was against the Eels on that, might have been the June long weekend, 2022, last year. And the Eels were about 20-point favourites with the bookies. No one saw it coming. Kiraz actually played right centre, named on the right wing that day, and he carved the Eels up. And the Eels went on to play in the grand final.
He played right centre that day?
He did, yeah. So that was June last year. So a lot of water under the bridge since that day. But, yeah, anyway, interesting. We won't know until probably 5 minutes after kickoff. Well, until kickoff.
Interesting one to watch there, though. Thankfully, it's Canterbury. It's not the Panthers, so probably less appealing regardless. But there are opportunities there for the Broncos. No Payne Haas. We'll talk about him very soon. Piakura still on the edge. Paddy Carrigan. He's in the extended squad. I'd probably lean towards Pat Carrigan. Doesn't play this game, surely.
Has he had a rest yet? After
I don't think he has. He played on the edge after Origin 2, didn't he, Matty? So he kind of had a rest by his standards.
Well, they had the bye round 13, so they didn't play before Origin.
Yeah.
And then round 16, they had correct myself. They had the Warriors round 13.
Okay.
They didn't play. But round 16, they had a bye. Round 19, they had a bye. So I think this is really the first time we have to see him back up. Correction again, he played the Sharks at Shark Park. They did back up. And I was surprised that they did.
Ryan, you've absolutely fucking pretzeled me here.
Sorry. Let's just start afresh. He did back up after Origin 1 against the Sharks. That's it. Done.
Good. We got there. Love that. Glad you did that, not me, because I would have confused myself even more.
It's fine.
Does Pat Carrigan play this weekend or not?
I would say no.
Yeah, I think no too.
I would say no.
I don't think he'll be there. 5:30 coming in from Brookvale Oval. We've got the Manly Seagulls and the Cows. For Manly, DCE and Gerbo named. Kelmer's on that left edge. And the debut of Dean Madison, the younger brother of Ryan Madison, he's toiled away for a long time in cup footy to get an opportunity. So shout out to him. You love those stories. For the Cows, all the Origin boys named. Taumalolo on the bench. I don't think the Cowboys have a choice but to play all their guys. If you have a look on the ladder, I think Manly are in 10th, Cowboys are in 9th. So if Cowboys can knock over Manly, it gets them a lot closer to that top 8 berth.
A 4-pointer. In the EPL sense, they say 6-pointer Arsenal versus City. This is a 4-pointer.
Especially Manly, because they had that draw during the year.
Right.
So their for and against doesn't matter.
Yep.
So if you end up even with them, you all of a sudden fall behind them.
What do we make of the Cowboys? Players that suddenly they've hit their form. Valentine Holmes won. I think Scotty Drinkwater is going to break the $1 million mark this week. Could you have said that after round 2 when he scored a 1?
No.
He's just come from the clouds. I think it's no coincidence the Cowboys are surging on the back of him finding an extra gear.
I said last week, I think they're the first ever team I've seen that Origin has helped them instead of hindered them. I think it's just reminded 6 or 7 key blokes just how fucking good they are.
And in Drinkwater's sense, it might have just elevated him to think, oh, hold on, I'm suddenly an Origin-level player. He could debut tonight. He could.
Freddie has done a billion stranger things. Matty could make debut tonight. I'm not ruling it out.
Well, he's 18th man at the moment. My point is, if there's a couple of head knocks, he could get a run, or at least a foul play. So we haven't really considered that. Oh, I know, I haven't until now.
Yeah.
I love the Cowboys. I love what they're doing. I love that left side. Holmes, Drinkwater, Taulagi. There's a lot to like.
They're a mean footy side. Yeah.
And they put it together.
All right, Chooks v Storm.
Sorry, Carrigan backed up twice.
Well, there you go.
He backed
Where's
up.
Tim when you need him?
He backed up against the Titans as well. I don't even remember that game, to be honest. But yeah, he's backed up twice.
Not very well. I think they lost that game.
They did, correct.
We'll do what you will with that information because I've got no fucking idea. Where
Was he named on an edge, or was he named like jersey 19, 20? Because I think that
He played edge like 2 weeks ago, didn't he?
But why are they naming him in 19 if he's gonna?
Yeah.
Because I remember one of the commentators was like, "Geez, Pat Carrigan's workload's down." It's like he's playing on the edge, brother.
Nah, he started the game in jersey 13 in lock every game this year. Whether he got moved to the edge, but he's been named in 13.
The Dolphins game he played edge.
Dolphins it was, yes.
Yeah. So I don't. If I'm going off all that and going off what I think, I reckon he'll be rested. Especially because it's in Sydney.
I am banning the name Pat Carrigan from the rest of the podcast.
That's the thing. How many people own Pat Carrigan at the moment?
Yeah, exactly.
Probably next.
I regret getting into it, especially when Payne Haas isn't playing as well. Anyway, let's leave it. All right, Chooks v Storm. We should have brought in a fourth man to help us with that. Chooks v Storm, Saturday, 7:35 at the SCG. For the Chooks, the Origin boys name Billy Smith and Suoli'i return. Radley on the edge, Nathan Brown at 13. Brandon Smith on the bench as well. Still no sign of Sammy Walker. What do you make of the Roosters, mate? I'm just about ready to put the red Sharpie through.
Not yet.
Not yet?
Give them one more week. I think this is the week, right? Like if we get to, they love playing at the SCG. I know they moved to Allianz next door, but they get the game here at the SCG. It's a very different team to the team that we saw dominate at the SCG 2018-19. Just on that team list, I think Suoli'i on the wing, interesting. And I like it. I like it for him. Because
for him.
They're gonna need him and Manu to find that form that they had 2021, I think it was.
Yep.
Because without that, they don't seem to have that spark, that attack.
Does he interest you from a Supercoach?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I haven't looked at his price, but the more I think about it, the more I like it. I think he's going to kick goals. I think you said yourself, Sandon Smith's not the best goal kicker, so Suoli'i should take that back.
They look ugly.
Is this the first time we have a Brandon and a Sandon Smith lining up together?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Pretty special stuff.
Yeah, I like it. Just on Sam Walker, I want to get your thoughts on this. He didn't play New South Wales Cup last week. Trained the whole week. The ACL strain or sprain, it wasn't ready to go.
Yeah.
I think that is the worst news for a Roosters fan. Not because he didn't play, but the New South Wales Cup team has a bye this week. So that's 2 extra weeks.
Yep.
I don't think it's... It's not good news.
I had Sandon Smith in my draft side. I dropped him last week thinking Sam Walker will be back.
Yeah.
I regret it.
Yeah.
I really do regret it. I've got a feeling he might hold on. I thought Sandon Smith was doing a fantastic job last game. Came up with a really poor defensive play, that one on Ben Trebojevic.
Mm-hmm.
And he came up with a few attacking options, the last play and whatnot, that weren't fantastic. But I don't know how much faith you can have in Sam. Like, as you said, he's still at least 2 weeks away.
Yeah, at
You
least.
have to assume it's around 22 then.
That's it. When is he back?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. If they're out of finals contention, why rush him back? Because then you've got your 22, 23-year-old halfback risking an ACL. You're going to miss him the next season. So if it's not this week, Sam Walker season, we could be over. We just don't know it yet.
Yeah, I tell you what, if you're a Sam Walker owner in draft, I would be very, very nervous. Yes, love that for you. Fantastic.
I actually traded. I've done some terrible trades this year. I've traded, firstly, Tino to Manu, which at the time it was okay, but then I traded Steve Crichton to Sam Walker, who hasn't played a game since. And then I traded Manu to Burton, and then Burton
I
scored
still
7.
think that was a worthwhile punt, though.
Yeah, anyway.
Critter's not a great draft player. Like he's handy, but
He's played some games at least.
That's true, yes. For the Storm, Nelson Asafa-Solomona on the edge. He's caught my attention.
Yeah.
Talk about it soon, but he's caught my attention. I might be looking at a little pod trade in this week. The Origin boys have been named. We're talking about it pre-show. Harry Grant. He is the only hooker in Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only one that can play hooker at a high click. Melbourne are in a spot where they're sitting in 4th. They've used all their buys. Every team below them in the top 8 has 1 buy to come, or 2 if you're the South Sydney Rabbitohs. I don't think Melbourne can afford to rest guys, play limited minutes. I just think they have to go full throttle now.
Even with them there against, respectfully, the B Panthers team, they were terrible.
Yep.
Nass is an interesting one. I know you'll talk about him. I think Melbourne's forward pack, they just got dominated against the Panthers, and that concerns me for Harry Grant. I think what we know from Harry Grant is that free-flowing, eyes up rugby league, you pick up the ball, dummy half and run. He just didn't get that.
Yep.
And he hasn't got it for some time now. So,
For me, I'm a Harry Grant owner.
yeah.
I'm happy to have him.
Yeah.
But if I didn't have him, I wouldn't be chasing him.
Which, yeah, that's where I am. It sounds weird. At the start of the year, I said he was a must-have. I started my year with Harry Grant. I didn't want to be without him. And now I'm sort of sitting back thinking, I don't really need this guy now.
It's going to be interesting moving forward over the years for Supercoach now, because if the Melbourne Storm don't have this huge monster forward pack, who are the other hookers? Like, is there a must-have hooker in rugby league?
Well, I brought one in last week. I don't know if he's must-have. He plays in the next game. Blake Brayley. I don't think he's must-have, but what I've seen from the Sharks and Brayley especially, the last probably month, he is... It's not always just give to Hines. He's got that, that X-play back on the inside, which Cronulla love.
Yeah, and it might be that, hookers that have been must-haves for years, the Smiths, these sort of guys, like, they don't exist anymore.
No, maybe
so
not.
Your must-have category at hooker might start to change too, the level Blake Brayley's at.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really interesting time, because not many guys playing 80 minutes nowadays.
Robson.
Yeah.
Cook. I know Cook's on old legs, but Robson, he has the game very similar to Cook, which Cook for a long time was a Supercoach mainstay.
Yeah, which I still think none of those guys are top 10 Supercoach players.
You're not breaking the bank.
No way. You're probably not winning a draft comp with them as your top pick either. So it's interesting. Let's move to Sunday afternoon footy, 2 p.m. coming to you from Auckland. The Sharkies and the Wars over there. Joshy Curran on the edge, Barnett in the front row. No other real changes for the Wars. Sharks, they're essentially 1-17. No changes there. Anything you want to touch on in that game?
I want to ask you, not so much from a Supercoach sense, but maybe the impact of McInnes at 13 with Finucane either playing, well, he's obviously suspended this week, but moving him to the front row rotation. Does that make the Sharks a better team with McInnes at 13?
I think it definitely does.
I think everyone thinks it does.
Yeah.
Why don't they just do it?
I don't understand why Cam McInnes is so underutilised. I love the bloke.
He was coming off the bench at the start of the year. I think that was it round one, Matty, they played Souths? I think it was. He played 37 minutes. Cam McInnes. He was former 80-minute hooker.
Yeah.
I think they're a much better team with him at 13 for what it's worth.
I agree. Yeah. Let's move to the 4:05 p.m. game. The Dolphins and the Penrith Panthers coming to you from... Now, you guys said at Penrith. It's at KO Stadium, isn't it? Matty, can you deal that? I'm pretty sure it's up there.
Redcliffe.
It's in Redcliffe?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I misheard you before. Anyway, it's at KO Stadium. For the Finns, Hammer is at centre, so Tafare out of the side. Owner?
I own, but I'm not disappointed.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I'd rather him out than on the bench, like he was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, what a kick in the dick that was. Ewan Aiken in the centres. So I think it's pretty evident that Wayne has identified, I need to get my centres making tackles here and there. Ewan Aiken, Hammer in there. K-Brom in the front row, which is a huge win for Conley Lemuelu. I'm not an owner. I am in draft, so I'm stoked. Have you got him?
I did. I sold him. I think I sold him. He had a big BE, didn't play that week. Might have been around 15, 16.
Even now, he scored a try on the weekend, which was a really soft try, to be fair. But he's just not getting through the work he once was, so I wouldn't be too upset.
Just before we go on, just back on Valance.
Yep.
Is he done as a Supercoach option? Like, we're obviously not buying him, but at what point do we, like 400K, you could cash him out to enough, use that 200K elsewhere?
That's an awkward spot, isn't it?
Because that's, without a try, 40, right?
Yeah. And I don't know if he's won that spot over Branko. Right. So now he could be the fourth choice CTW. He could be behind Aitken, Hammer, Branko, and Tafare. Defensively,
he made Brian Kelly look like his cousin.
Yes.
Greg Inglis.
Sure
last week, I think, anyway.
And he didn't do much against Herbie Farnworth the week before, so... And granted, Branko Lee, not a noted defender.
Yeah.
But good God, it was working when it was him and Isako out there in attack at least.
It worked. This team list for the Dolphins, I said it last week, they're starting to look a little bit thin, especially no JMK there last week. I think they just got pulled apart. Graham's probably doing a job, but I think Milford even came on and played a bit of 9 last week.
Yeah. I will say this about Ewan Aiken playing centre. We assume that if Hammer's playing centre, he plays left centre.
Yep.
So Aiken plays right.
Yep.
Branko was great for Isako. Tafare wasn't good. Aiken.
Could be worse.
That could really sink Isako here.
Okay, to that point, Dolphins have the bye next week. They play the Panthers this week. I think Isako's break even, I'll look it up in a sec. It's very high.
Yeah.
Do we sell him this week? Do we cash out early and maybe use that money to go elsewhere, either via the Jewels, bring in a fullback, or even Manu down to centre wing? Like, it sounds silly to sell Isako because we know at his best he's very good, but we could be getting out a week early. this week.
Yeah, I'm start. You have got some decent games to come though. Canterbury, Newcastle,
Yeah, I know.
got the Tigers.
That's the thing.
Even the Roosters is a good matchup nowadays at the moment. I'll be honest with you. I'm hesitant to make a call on Osako because I haven't got one right this year with him at any point whatsoever. But
Hold him this week, maybe.
mate, yeah,
Break even 117, for what it's worth.
I'm really worried about Aiken jumping. I think he's improved, but I remember a few years ago watching him at centre. Just if you had the winger outside him for an anytime try score up, start making your next one. You're done.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
Have you got him, Osako?
Osako, yeah, I do. So I've had him most of the year. I think I got him after his first price rise.
Oh, you bastard.
Yeah. So I was lucky. This is the thing. Like, Supercoach, you need to make the correct decision twice for the 27 rounds, right? I was lucky enough with Osako. This is, my first instinct is maybe he could be a sell. I don't know if I'm brave enough to do it, but I'm thinking that way.
He's definitely a guy that I know now I will not be buying.
Yeah, there's no need.
Very confident in that.
Maybe once he drops in cash, and maybe, a couple of weeks' time, you could almost go Valentin a bit more straight to Osako.
I just wonder, I don't know. I just, like, a few weeks ago, I was sitting here with the Dolphins going, fuck, is it all falling apart? Is it over?
Yep.
Then they play Brisbane and the Titans, two of the Queensland teams. They're getting up for that. I don't know. It's just a lot of moving pieces. And now that it looks like Jeremy Marshall-King's out, that worries me so much.
What do you make of that? He was named, didn't play. Wayne said he was gone for the season. Then suddenly he's not named this week.
Got Wayne written all fucking over it.
So we can't read too much into it?
Here's 1,000 breadcrumbs, but no answers.
If you owned him in draft, are you worried?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. I don't own him. Lucky.
Nor do I, and I'm stoked I don't. I had him last year, but I would be worried. I don't think that situation looks good, personally.
Okay. Cool.
And those rumours of him potentially being out long term, they have to come from somewhere.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Exactly right. We love a fire in rugby league. Okay, let's move to the Penny Panthers. The hero and saviour, Sonny Luke, back in jersey 14. Now the extended bench, Hosking, Peach, Jenkins, McLean. Take it or leave it. My mail is that Nathan Cleary will not play. It was, for the 1,000th time, medical staff versus Nathan Cleary. Nathan Cleary normally comes out and wins, but I think the medical staff have won out here. So I don't think he's going to play this week. I think he will play next week, which I think will... I actually prefer it, and we're sort of in the same boat.
Yep.
It allows the great Phoenix Crossland to make a little bit more coin. I'm okay with it.
We are, or I am. I'd want to know pretty soon, though. I don't want to get to Sunday and I still don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
pretty confident in saying he won't play.
Okay. Well, for that's the news of the week, right? Because I think a lot of trades would have been geared towards getting Nathan back in this week.
As they should be, yeah.
Because the break-even is 132, but that doesn't matter. He could lose money and score 120. You're never going to get those points, respectfully, for Phoenix Crossland.
100%.
That's a captaincy option Sunday afternoon. So that throws, I think, not only mine, but a lot of people's trade plans out the window this week. If that, not to question your mail, but I mean, like, if we are questioning...
I'm more stoked that you put the challenge down to Phoenix Crossland.
Come on, Phoenix.
Something
For the boys tonight.
Come good.
Fifth time's a charm.
So on the extended bench, you've obviously got Hosking, Peach, Jenkins, McLean. I'm also hearing there's a good chance that you might finally see the debut of Jesse McLean. I think there might be a couple of outside backs rested from the Panthers, which would make complete sense after what they did last time. So I think it's, Critter and Brian Toto.
Yep.
So I reckon you might see Ivan take the opportunity to play McLean over Jenkins this week.
We saw Hosking come from 18th man to play round last Origin. Peachy not even named on the bench this week. Like, for those still holding, which I'm sure there are, holding Hosking, Peachy especially. Like, what are you reading into that? Should they budget as in they're not going to be there this week?
Did Penrith play at home last week?
Matty, something?
Sorry, one sec. I'll get it up. I've got it up here.
They had a bye
the
last
week before that.
Week before
they played Melbourne in Melbourne.
In Melbourne, okay. The only thing I was thinking with that game when they played Peach on the bench was he's 200.
Right.
Thought, mate, maybe they just brought him in to have that 200th at home potentially, but if it was in Melbourne, that makes no sense, so ignore that. I don't know. From the two people I get Penrith mail from, they both just reckon it is getting harder and harder to work out what Ivan's doing week to week. It's very hard to work out who's going to be your back rowers, who's going to be your centres, what's doing with Nath, et cetera, but...
Why I think it's so important is because we've seen with Tyrone Peachy already this season, when he starts, invariably he scores, and he scores well. 74 against the Cowboys round 16. Started against the Knights round 17, scored 107. Came off the bench and scored a 10. So, between his best and his worst, there's a whole heap of difference. Yeah. Where's your sources? We need the mail.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident in saying Nath won't play. I'm planning this weekend my draft team to not have him.
Okay.
That's the direction I'm going in. So we'll see how it plays out. A lot can change in a few days. But I just think it would make sense, right? Why play these guys?
Can you tell us more about McLean?
I really like him. I actually thought he was a sniff to debut round 1.
Yep.
I think that there was a couple of defensive issues throughout the year that I think Ivan held him back for. And like the guys he played over him, PG Jenkins, these sort of guys, they've come in and shown they can play. But yeah, McLean is a very, very exciting talent.
On the scale of 1 to could be anything, where is he?
I'd probably say he's... I think the waves he'll create will be very similar to when Taruva came in.
Awesome.
That sort of guy.
Okay. I think we saw him in the trial. He scored a try against the Eels.
Yeah, he's been doing very well in New South Wales Cup. Very, very talented kid. He's got a younger brother as well who they've got, I think, even higher raps on. So keep an eye on that family over the next couple of years. Very confident kid. Anytime try scorers are begging for him. But anyway, always responsibly. Eels v Titans, 6:15 p.m. from CommBank Stadium. For the Eels, the Origin boys have been named. Ryan Madison back to the bench. Sean Lane starts. Assey in jersey 6. Sean Lane, geez, wasn't he the talk of the town this time last year?
It's funny how he went from obscurity in 2021 to SuperCoach Gun must have 2022.
Was it 2021 or 2020 where Andrew Davey was keeping him out of the team?
It could have been both.
Whichever year it was one of those years where Andrew Davey was playing him under the table. And then I was sitting here at the end of last year going, he might play for the Kangaroos.
Yeah. I don't think it's a coincidence that it's probably unfortunate for Sean Lane that his season hasn't overlapped with Dylan Brown's season.
Yes. Yeah.
I think we saw it last year.
It was the best combo last year.
Yeah. So it's not a surprise that I think he did broke his jaw. He missed the first chunk of the season when Brown was on fire. He came back. Brown's been gone.
Yeah. And
still Brown's out. So I'm not diving into Sean Lane.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see whenever it is Brown does return. It'll be interesting to see how that combo goes.
Yep.
Because they've obviously got the bye round 27, so a lot of people that don't have trades won't even be able to look at the option. But people with trades, it could be an interesting one.
You've got plenty of trades.
I've got heaps of trades. I'll be doing some rogue shit over the next 10 weeks.
Yeah, and so you should, because you're chasing rank, you've got trades.
Yep.
We're going to get to it very soon about pods and how to make ranks up this time of year. You're sitting pretty.
Yeah, it's going to be fun if nothing else. For the Titans Origin boys, they have been named Cleese Haas on the edge, Jaden Campbell at 14. Obviously... Actually, we'll save that because we'll talk about Fifita and Tino very soon because there's a lot of questions about these fellas.
Cool.
Mate, your deep dive might be the deepest dive that a diver's ever really fucked that
dived.
Dived, sure. Let's run with that.
Yeah, look, I thought I'd better
It's been
do
one of the most confusing mornings.
Timmy some justice here. I don't know, like we're not going to the depths of trying to find the Titanic, but we're sort of going somewhere there. This is the deep dive. Now, I've called it the template team and pods for the run home. So I even gave it a title. I thought I'd bring something. Okay, so the top 25 most owned players, and by the top 10%, I found this without understating it. It's sort of incredible how these top 25 players actually make the bulk of a 25 SuperCoach squad, if that makes sense. Like the numbers of players assigned to each of those positions on the field. Whole heap of words to say that. But I'll push on here. So this isn't in order of most owned, but in order of the positions on the field. So at hooker, there was Harry Grant.
Yep.
The only hooker in the top 25 most owned. Now, again, this is top 10%. So sort of looking towards the higher echelon of SuperCoach players. It gives you a better gauge than those who have stopped playing. Front row forwards, Joey Tarpanay, Tohu Harris, and Payne Haas. 2RF, Hopgood, Nikora, Fifita, Preston, and Bateman. Halfback, Hines, Moses, SJ. 5'8", Ponga, Manu, Cody, and Cameron Munster. Cody Walker, that is. Now, some of these are duels, but I've sort of put them where I think they are.
Yep.
Where people are playing with them. At centre wing, Ruben Garrick, Ronaldo Mulatalo, Tyrone Munro of Could Be Anything fame, Greg Marju, CNK, AJ, and Valence Tafade.
Also of Could Be Anything fame.
And at fullback, Jermaine Asako, Clint Gutherson. So that's your top 25 most owned by the top 10%. Now, I haven't doctored that. That's just how it is. My point being, if you're trying to make up ranks, you got to be playing around those sort of guys.
Yep.
You want a core group of those guys to not lose ranks, but at the same time, there's probably some names there. I think of Alex Johnston not playing this week, Cody Walker not playing this week, Preston, maybe his Supercoach days are coming to an end. Harry Grant, even, I'm questioning if he's a...
Jacob Little.
Well, that's in your...
Nice superstar hooker.
He's done a job.
He has done a job. It's been ugly as all hell.
But if you want to make ranks, which you obviously do, you've got trades, you've got cash to do it, I'm going to put forward probably 5-6 players here that I think can boost you up the ranks in the next month.
Now, before you do that, shout out to Tim Williams. If you happen to lose your passport and you can't get back, we're fine. We're good as gold.
No, we want him to come home. I think he might be on the same flight as David Warner. Warner's coming home. Send them home together.
God, could you imagine those two?
Yeah.
Good God.
Would they give Booney's record a shake on the way home?
Far out. All right, the best pods presented to you by Supercoach 365. Take it away.
So there's some pros and cons to all of these. So I will say, I say best, but there are some downsides to each. Valentine Holmes. 3-round average of 119, 5-round average of 100 even, 3 scores 100 plus, and 2 scores of 90 plus in 15 games. So in one of every 3 games, he's scoring 90 or more. That's vice captain, that's captain territory for Valentine Holmes. That's the good. The bad with that is, though, his price. 850 odd K. Have you missed the boat? Is it too late to bring him in? Does he play round 20? So this week, does he back up? You think yes?
I think he will, yeah.
Yep. That's a tick then. But they do have the bye in round 24. So that's second week of your finals. So looking for overall players, but also probably more so head-to-head players, to have 850K thereabouts doing not much in the second week of the finals, it's not great.
Yeah, for head-to-head players for sure. But I've had Val Holmes all the way through this year.
Yep.
And the amount of times people have traded him because of an origin or a bye or something, and then he comes out and scores 150 the week after, I just sit there and go, good as gold. I'm more than happy to hold him. I also think the 30% ownership, I reckon that'll be much lower in the top 10, 5,000. Much lower.
Probably.
I reckon there's a lot of zombie teams that dropped out early and had Val from the start.
So just to that point, so these are working from most owned pods, if that makes sense, down to some of the more obscure or lesser owned players. Next on this list is Tino, Big Tino for Asul Malawi. 22% owned by the top 10%. So again, 80% of coaches in that top 10% don't own Tino. That's a real pod play for you to accelerate your rank. Last 4 scores, it goes without saying, the good, right? 2 scores of 100, 2 scores of 90 or more. The cons, the price. It goes without saying, are you going to drop, 860-odd thousand on a front rower?
It's a bit of bicky.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And for players who are looking to make ground, you're probably not trying to make up those points at front row forward, being honest. Because the question I have about Tino is he too try dependent? So in 3 of those 4 games, he has scored tries.
Yeah.
Last 4 games. His floor as well. We don't often associate Tino with having a floor. We think big minutes, big motor, athletic. But just to cushion that, he's had 4 scores under 60 this year. If he comes out and scores a 55 this week when you buy him, you're probably not too happy with that. Backing up after Origin, just consider that as well. And the Titans draw, I don't think it's an easy draw. I don't think he's scoring a lot of tries against these teams. I could be wrong. His minutes have averaged around 60 this season. Look at his draw. Have you got it there?
I don't, but whilst you're getting it, I thought I'd just remind us all how he finished last season as well.
Go on.
Because it was amazing. If you have a look from round 20 onwards, round 20, he played 61 minutes, scored 88, no try. He then had round 21, he was a little bit quiet, 56 minutes, scored 54 points, no try or anything there, obviously. But then the last 3 games, when the Titans were desperate, they were trying to find wins, which I think they'll be in the same boat this year. 68 minutes for 90 points, 80 minutes for 109 points, 69 minutes for 70 points, no tries across those 3 weeks.
Who did they play those 3 weeks?
They played the Dragons, the Knights, and the Warriors. My argument to you, though, against those better teams, I think it forces him to play more minutes.
Yeah, so that's the good. That's the caveat to this, right? So the teams, they obviously have the Eels this week, on the cusp of the top 8 themselves. The Roosters, the Cowboys, the Warriors, the Sharks, the Panthers, the Storm, round 27 against the Bulldogs. So there's probably, 7 games there that you're looking at Tino. You can't be banking on him scoring tries. That's more of the point I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm very nervous about not having Tino, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I have him.
Yeah.
22% owned Tino. Some also hovering around those marks. The Sharks, and a lot of these players would have been brought in last week. I think probably looking at their numbers last week, or Talakai aside, but Kennedy probably let those down who did bring him in last week. You would have been hoping for more. The pros in the Sharks obviously have no buys. These two prominent in that left side sweep.
Yep.
The slingshot, I think it's called. They have a great finals fixtures, the Sharks.
Yep.
I think they've got games against the Tigers, the Knights, could be the Warriors. We'll check that. They play the Warriors this week.
Yep.
The cons, though, is I think if you're going to them, how many Sharks can you have?
Yeah.
Mulatalo would be popular. Nikita's popular. Hines goes without saying. Brayley I've got. What are your thoughts on Mulatalo? Going from Mulatalo to a Talakai or a Kennedy?
I've got Talakai and Mulatalo.
Yep.
And I won't be having any more. Every week I look at Jesse Ramey and go, ooh, hello.
Yeah.
And then go, no, can't do it. Will Kennedy, I'm going to have to, I think I'll probably sell Gutho in the next week or two.
Yep.
Is my plan. I'm more so thinking I'm just going to go all in on Latrell.
Okay.
I don't think I'll have Will Kennedy this year, but I don't think he's a bad option. I find the Sharks hard to trust.
I probably had the blinkers on a little bit last week, like looking at purely at that Tigers game and thinking they're going to run in 50 points and I'm going to...
What did Kennedy score?
55. So I could have done without that. Although it might have won me this.
It might have won you that.
Actually, it did win me that.
But yeah, I just...
Yeah,
I just find this Sharkies team hard to trust. And you look over the next few weeks, I think they play 4 top 8 teams in the next 6 weeks, the Sharkies.
Yeah.
Or 14. I think Cowboys are one of them. I'm counting as a top 18 to be fair. I question how well the Sharkies are going to go over the next few weeks, which is why I don't want too many of them.
Yep.
But I'm happy to have 2 or 3 of them.
I'll race through some of these others. Scotty Drinkwater, 13.3% owned. The pros are there in black and white. 136 3-round average, 126 5-round average. He's going to break the $1 million mark this week. That's the con. And again, like Holmes has the buy.
That is mind-boggling.
$1 million. We're talking Turbo, Pappenhausen at his best, Cleary at his best, Scotty D.
We're talking about a fullback that's, up and down, has a really low floor, who was in a team that I thought was no hope of making the top 8 5 weeks ago. Now he's going to break $1 million.
Yeah, incredible.
Doesn't even fucking goal kick.
Well, that's the thing. He is a good goal kicker.
Can kick,
and I'm surprised that when Holmes hasn't been there that he hasn't kicked.
Oh, mate, imagine if he had goal kicking. He'd be must-have, I think.
Yeah. At the price, though, probably not. And a couple of others, we mentioned them already. Blake Brayley, I like what I've seen from him. I think he's becoming more confident in that Sharks attack. Very hands-on. I will say this, though. He's had 9 out of 16 games this year where he's scored 60 or less. So that SuperCoach pedigree, year-on-year success, we just haven't seen it from Blake. And I've mentioned Nathan Cleary here. I think we spoke about Nathan. We don't think he's going to play this week, so it sort of goes without saying. You wouldn't be trading him in this week. If you do, though, just be mindful. 5 of his 8 games this year where he hasn't scored a ton. So let's just rewind that. He scored 4 tons in 12 games this year.
Yep.
In the other 8 games, he has scored 60 or less. 5 of those other 8, sorry. So almost 50% of the time, he's not scoring 80 points.
Interesting.
Sorry, 60 points even. And obviously there's been some injuries in those. But you take...
He's coming back from a hamstring.
Yeah, soft tissue, right? Yeah. So you just got to be mindful. Reece Walsh, probably the last one on this list that we'll talk about now. We know how good he is. He's ceiling. The cons in that, though, coming back, they play a lot of teams in form. So 5 of their remaining 6 games when he's back will be against top 8 teams. 5 out of 6. So he can't, bash up the lesser teams. These teams are all going to be looking to be playing finals footy. And the Broncos have a bye in round 25. At 6.4%, I think it's a risk not worth taking with Reece Walsh.
I put up a thing on my Instagram the other day and I did a live reaction to it on the podcast yesterday, and I asked people who are the pretenders and the contenders for the run home.
Yeah.
I reckon 90% of people had Broncos in pretenders.
Wow.
So, yes, he's got that bye, but if you're someone with trades up your sleeve, I personally don't think the Broncos are going to fall off a cliff.
No.
I think they're a really good shot to take home a minor premiership this year now. Mm-hmm. He could really break it open. But when you're talking about him or like a Latrell maybe, it's tough.
There's some there that I haven't mentioned. I sort of drew the line there. And Souths, I know there's question marks over that that bye, particularly for head-to-head players, round 26. Yeah. It's just such a pain. To sum all of that up, who's the best pod, do I think?
Yep.
I'm going with Valentine Holmes. Now, it's probably less poddish because he's 30% owned, but take those numbers aside, right? 7 out of 10 coaches don't have Val.
Yep.
Goal kicking, scores tries. The Cowboys, they're making this run. He's key in all of their left side attack. I'd love to say Drinkwater, but I can't justify it at the price.
Yeah, no, fair shout. I've already got Val, and I've loved having him all year, and we'll hold him until the very end. Jeez, Drinky's fucking appealing, though.
That's the thing, though. A lot of people would have stacked some cash looking to get Cleary this week. I just wonder if some attempted to maybe go Gutho to Drink. That's a real possibility.
Yeah.
A good game against Manly as well. I know DCE's named to back up.
Yep.
I don't know. I just think the Cowboys can go there and win. I think they can go there and win quite well, to be honest. I think that they've just got the team now. They're in form. Confidence is back. I would hate to be versing the Cowboys in the next 7 weeks. I remember Gus said probably after they got beat 66-18 that this team can still win the comp.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
He saw something that 99.9% of others didn't.
As per with Gussie.
And here we are.
Took a break from yelling at clouds to make that cracker. All right. Questions from the people. Cam Murray for the run home. That one comes from Joe Barr. Very cheap at the moment. What are your thoughts?
No, I don't want him. And he's cheap because he hasn't played good Supercoach footy.
Yeah. Matty, anything to say on Cam Murray?
I mean, he's been playing great for South, but the scores haven't been there, have they? Even, like, I know that because he was my first draft pick this year in Risers comp.
Dickhead. What pick was it?
So he was pick. I think you were pick 8.
I was after you.
No, you were pick 8. You were pick 8. There was someone pick 9, and it's funny because both of them in front of me were Souths fans. I was pick 10, and I was sweating at night because I really want to drink water. Pick 10. I thought it was a bit of a reach, but I knew he was the guy this year. He took Murray. The next guy took Cook, and I'm just sitting there going, "I'm thirsty, boys. Let me drink some water."
I love that, Matty. We give shit to the bloke in our comp who took Cam Murray 3rd pick.
Wow. Well, there you go. Do your own research.
1 overall.
I was.
Do you listen to anything we say here or what?
It doesn't matter. Cam Murray is my favourite player.
I think he went to school with Cam.
He hasn't mentioned it 1,000 times.
I didn't know. I thought I heard it somewhere.
Are you both from Mascot?
He's from Botany.
Botany, of course.
But he played for Mascot.
Stone's throw.
Of course he did. Yeah, just a 4 iron away. All right, this one comes from Jay Slee. Fifita or Tino? If you had to pick one, who are you going with?
Well, I own Tino.
If you didn't own
If I didn't own either, Fifita.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Tino.
No, I think Fifita. He runs on the board, right? He's scored back-to-back 106 times in a row now, I think.
Tino's like Haas to me. Great to have, but I just don't think he can end my season.
Yeah.
Fifita can. He's hide behind the couch and watch TV sort of stuff.
Yeah, he can do something from nothing, which I think Tino sort of needs to be 10 metres out to score a try. Fifita could do it from 60 metres out.
Yeah. All right, next one comes from Rudy Pete. Sell or hold Payne Haas. I've never owned him at any point this year.
Neither.
Out at the moment. If you still have him, I think you should probably just hold him.
Oh, no, I'd be selling.
Selling? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, what's his price? 650-ish? I'm sure you could make some ground. Like Tarpanay and Tohu, they're not too far away from that price. And they're banging out 90s, right? So this time of year, I don't think you should worry about holding. Like, you just need runs on the board. You need points, and there's points around him there.
If he returns next week, though.
Yeah, but he has a bye a few weeks. Like, to that point, could you go via the Jules and get a Fifita or a Tino? Like, I don't know. I don't love it.
He's got a bye around 25. It's 4 weeks away.
I don't love it. Payne Haas, I don't know. Front row is sitting there doing nothing. No, not for me.
All right, fair call. Let's move to our next question. Next one comes from Jai Graham. We sort of already spoke about this. Kira's playing centre, help or hinder. We don't know which side he's on or whatever. Jeez, Kira's has been a trap.
Yeah.
I held him for like 6 weeks at one point.
Well, he was almost a must-have.
Yep.
He was like Talakai territory, right? Like he'd scored all these points, massive base, the bigger lure, and then he just fell off a cliff.
Yeah, I remember Tim didn't have him, and I sat here for 5 weeks when he was out going, yeah, but you don't have Kira as I do.
Yeah.
30. Yeah. Fuck.
The cash just evaporated.
Yeah.
Right centre, if he is, I think it'll help his rugby league.
Yes.
Will it help his Supercoach? Probably not. If he's left centre,
I still think there's just better options out there.
No, I'm not eyeing off a Bulldogs centre wing.
Yeah.
Not this time of year.
Not this time of the year. All right, next time, and our last question is Sam Deacon. Is it time to trade Buller? I traded him last week. I had the opportunity to go. Do I take his, what I assume would be 30 points? I think he scored 40. Or do I just swallow that cash? I took the cash to get to Cleary as soon as I can. Do you trade Buller now?
Yeah, I would. I never had him. There's probably 400, 500
But you've done well
there.
to be in the top 1,000 without ever owning Buller.
I don't know how I've done it. Anyway, as I said,
You've done it.
I've done it. Well, not yet. I'm there at the moment.
Yeah.
I want to finish there. Yes, trade Buller. Go on. Get rid of him.
Okay, let's move to our trades and skippers. We've got our sit and starts this weekend. Look, with the Canberra Raiders boys out, Jack DeBellin out, I think everyone's going to be short on front row forwards somewhere.
Yep.
I don't know how much there is to dive into sit v starts realistically. I think your teams, I don't think many people have more than 18 or 19.
If you can get a squad and maybe one or two waiting in the wings, you've done well this week.
And I think if you've got 16 or 17, don't ruin your next 7 weeks trying to get one extra player this week.
No.
I would sit on your hands this week, cop it, and then just go all in on the next 7 weeks. What are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree. I think the priority this week should not be finding an extra 30 points. Yep. It's probably doing enough to make sure that this time next week, if Cleary is playing, you've got money there to get him.
Yep.
Fifita, the same boat. If you can't make it work this week, you probably want them both as soon as next week.
Yeah, I agree. All right, our trades and our skippers. Mate, your trade option this week, you were thinking Cleary. I've potentially shut on that if my mail is correct.
Yeah.
If that mail is correct, well, if that mail isn't correct, you'll go to Cleary. If it's not, if he isn't playing, Jesus Christ. Matty, can you get me 3 more coffees? I'm in all sorts this morning. What's your plan?
If he's playing, I'm getting him.
Yep.
Although we won't know till Sunday. We could not know till Sunday at 2 p.m.
You might not know until then, yeah.
So that's why it's so tricky. Why it's tricky as well is I was planning to captain him this week against the Dolphins. So I would have brought him in straight captain. To me, what that means is I'm probably holding Crossland another week. The cat with 9 lives has found a 10th life. The cockroach. Yeah. If we can make that catch.
You can't ruin it.
I can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
So Crossland will stay. What that means for me trade-wise is probably I could do no trades. It's a luxury to have this time of year. Or via the duels, I might sell Gutho.
Okay.
So, and why I'm selling is probably because who scares me more of not owning him? David Fifita or Clint Gutherson? It's probably Fifita. Yep. No more buys with Fifita, so I'm getting an extra game out of Fifita than I would Gutho. I could do that via Jermaine Sarko and Braden Williami duels. I've held Williami since round 1. He's played 1 or 2 games, and the amount of times I've used him in duels, he's paid it himself off.
Yeah. You mentioned Gutho there, mate. Yep. I got him in about a month ago. He's done unbelievably well for me. I think he's averaging 115 or whatever the fuck it is over the last 3 games.
Yep.
Warriors this week in New Zealand, not ideal. No, sorry, Gold Coast this week, good matchup. But then he goes Cowboys, Storm, Dragons decent, Broncos, Roosters, Penrith, bye. So some very, very tough matchups there. And I think that if you go back and watch his last few games where he's gone 120 plus, a lot of tries out of dummy half, a lot of just very average shit, which I'll take, but it hasn't been great.
And just the will to do that. You mentioned the one good game that you had in that run there was round 23. I don't think it's a coincidence that is the game where Dylan Brown will come back. So factor that in as well. It's a great game, but there's an extra mouth to feed there.
Yeah.
So that's why I'd be more inclined to sell Gutho this week if I'm going to do it. He's got a BE of around 40, I think. So it's not all doom and gloom. Like you could probably do it next
49,
week.
Yeah.
49, like you could sell him for close to 910,000. Or you can go to drink. There's options there. I was really banking on Cleary. So if I'm to use the one trade, I'd go 7 trades left with no boost left. And my captains would have been vice-captain Ponga. I think it's a no-brainer. And my captain would have been Cleary. So then, again, why that's tricky is because Hines plays before Cleary.
Yeah.
So I would have to have Hines on my field, meaning I couldn't captain Cleary if he plays.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. My VC will definitely be KP. And then I would have loved the Cleary play as well. Then I'm looking at either Hines or... And I'll tell you the other one I don't mind is a bit of a pump, but I've got a feeling about Fifita.
Going well?
Yeah.
David, okay. That's the thing. Like late in the week, imagine kicking
But
back
that's the thing,
Sunday night.
if he doesn't play or something, I'm fucked.
Well, you've got Gutho.
I've got Gutho. Yeah, I just have to be prepared. I have to have them both in my starting lineup and be prepared to make that move.
Imagine kicking back Sunday night, feet up, last game of the week, and you can just know you've got Fifita and you've got him captain.
Yeah, be lovely.
It'd be as exciting as it would be nerve-wracking.
Good fight at least against this Sharky side.
Yeah, back at home, I think they'd be disappointed. Sorry, why would they be disappointed? They just won by 40. I think they would. Let me put this right. They'd be disappointed from how they played against Souths.
Yeah.
That's where I was getting. Points approved back at home. This is a matchup as well. Johnson against the Sharks. Maybe there's just points approved against Nico.
A little something there.
Yeah. They would have been. Yeah, they let the fans down last time they were there.
For sure, and I think that game will mean more to them than their game against South last week.
Definitely. Anyway, so that's where
was
we're
at Parramatta. Sorry, the game against Parramatta.
Yeah. The Souths game sticks out though because they were just expected to win. Souths had the whole heap
very
of stars.
Very un-Warriors based on who they've told us they are this year.
Yeah, and they would want to right those wrongs here, I think.
Yeah, for sure. My one trade I'm thinking this week, I've had Jack DeBellin for a long time. He's been great for me, but he never goes below 50, but I just feel like he's never going above 65. He's good to have, but he's not
hurting you.
He's not setting the world alight for me. So when he's got the bye this week, I'm going to take the opportunity to move him. I'm thinking of a little pod play for a couple of weeks on Nas on the edge there.
I mean, he plays good footy on the edge. He scored a try last week. They just seem to go to him in the attack. The Hughes edge, rather. I like that short ball.
Yep.
Tell us, I guess, a little bit more. You've obviously had a look at it. What do you think?
Like this week plays the Roosters.
Yep.
That means that he'll be going up against
Cleary.
the Cleary Billy Smith edge. I like that.
Wow. Yeah.
I love Billy Smith.
As a pod,
there's been issues there for sure.
Yeah.
And I just think, and you made the very good point before, as we've spoken about on Bloke for the last fucking 20 weeks, Melbourne, they don't have it through the middle. Similar to how Penrith were using kick-out last year, they just shift wide to get a bit of momentum. I just think they're going to do that to Nas all day. And, mate, I can't see Billy Smith and Cleary getting enough contact to not stop offloads, et cetera, et cetera.
Is there any mail on Katoa when he's back?
Only what I've read on NRL Physio, but I don't know, it sounds a bit up in the air to me.
Yeah.
But, mate, I mean, if he plays on the edge this week and he does well, even if he only plays another 1 or 2 games there,
doesn't matter.
I've got enough trades to move him whenever I want, pretty much. So he's a bit of a pod play for me this week.
Yep.
And, as I said at the start, I've got a heap of trades just sitting up my sleeve, so I'm going to fuck around with them and use some of them.
That's the thing, right? Like if you're in a position like you are where you can target a fixture or target a matchup even, like a head-to-head matchup, Nas against Cleary, it's a mismatch.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a whole heap of others this week that we could talk about. But to your point as well, Barnett scored a double running at the para right edge.
Para
left edge, the cart right edge. There's a good game this week. Eels, the Fifita edge. No, he's right, left side. Well, that's the thing. Where does Fifita play this week? Is it right or left? Because Stimson was right.
Left. They would have to go left, I think.
Okay. Yeah, anyway.
You wouldn't change that, surely.
My point is target try scorers this time of year, if you can if find a mismatch in
target
defense.
Your key spots.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I back it. Yeah, that's why I'm going Nash. Have a look. I think he's got a break even of about 10 this week. He's at 550K. So my plan would be to go him for 2 or 3 weeks, then move to Tino. And I think I'll have enough money to be able to do that whilst getting Nathan.
Luxury.
I can go Gutho down to Latrell. So I've got wiggle room there. Mate, is there anything else you want to touch on before we hit the Frog and Toad?
I don't think so. I think just be mindful. I made this mistake after Origin 2 of the order of the games.
Yep.
I.e. put your players on your field who play first.
Yeah,
because if you get to Sunday and Tino's out, but you've got him at starting front row, you could be in a bit of Barney rubble.
Yeah, for sure. Bit of Barnabas. So think it all through. Go through and check it. Guys, make sure you're following SuperCoach 365. Brother, you have hit it out of the park today.
Yeah. Speaking of out of the park, the Aussies in the cricket, they just not the result we wanted this week.
No, it's not. No.
He's hoping the Blues can get the job done for the boys.
Yeah,
tonight.
I love relying on the Blues. It's good fun.
Come on, Freddie.
Yeah, come on, Freddie. Matty, thanks for joining us once again, mate.
Thank you,
I came into this game with no plan of how to use you, but I think we just found a way. Similar to Gutho tonight.
Well, I'm getting on Gutho anytime try scorer, so.
Responsibly.
God, that's bold. Can you explain? Geez, I don't know who's got less logic, you or Freddie. Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, because Bradman at best and Gutho both have shin tattoos. Pretty simple stuff.
It's hard to deny. I can't push back on it.
If it makes dollars, it makes sense, boys.
100%. All good. Mate, what's going on with SuperCoach 365 next few weeks? Anything coming up?
Yeah, we'll obviously have our run through to the finals. And at the end of it all, we'll do our Player of the Year awards, which we do. Just a little bit of fun there. So, yeah, stay right across where we are on the socials at SuperCoach 365 or on your podcast. You can search us there. Socials, as we said, we're there as well.
And we'll have little Phoenix Crossland. He will be back next week from his little hiatus. So we had the SuperCoach Spy join us last week. Obviously part of the SC Playbook universe. Make sure you go follow SuperCoach Spy on Twitter and wherever he is. And please make sure you go follow SuperCoach 365. As I said off the top, some of the best looking content in the game. I would argue the best looking.
Got to compensate for myself.
I live there, don't worry. So yeah, guys, make sure you go follow SuperCoach 365 on all platforms. As Kempy always says, don't follow Matty the Water Boy. Never follow Matty the Water Boy. And we will see you next week on Beers and Break Evens.